tell you what. Beer room. Hey, listen, as you come in the building, please go ahead and hit that like button to confirm the fact that you can hear me clearly. This is Welcome to Andrews, the podcast, the #1 podcast in Georgetown County. Okay. And I got a great show for you guys tonight. It is Real Talk Tuesday. And as promised, I got some very good guests on this. Some guests that I didn't put in the promo, but gonna have a real good conversation tonight around surrounding different various topics here. But before we get to that, let me do some business here and get the stuff shared out to the public. In the meantime, in between time, while I'm doing my thing, you do your thing and I'll do mine like this. All right, guys, you see it on the screen of the Heritage Festival, or you saw it on the screen. Heritage Festival coming up very soon, right there. I see my people popping in. We're going to have a great conversation tonight. But let me get some more business out of the way before we get too deep off into the world of politicking and all that good stuff. This Friday night, the Jackets will be in Marion, South Carolina, taking on Marion, South Carolina. So look forward to that. There's something else I wanted to share. Oh, I know what I wanted to share with you guys. Let me hop back over here real fast. Big ups to Mr. Jamar Langley last night came through. I mean, he is the first 5-bomb general on Welcome to Andrews, the podcast. Thank you for that like. And guys, make sure you go over to Jamar Langley's anything you can find of his on social media. And you make sure you follow that, hit that like button, interact. It helps the algorithms, I promise you. Also, look forward to this event. This is going to take place around homecoming weekend, and that's Jamar Langley. He's having a listening party. If you missed the interview last night, please go back and check it out. You see his socials right there. TikTok at Jamar Langley Music, Facebook at Jamar Langley Music, and Instagram at Jamar Langley Music. You make sure you go over there and you tell him that Welcome to Andrews, the podcast sent ya. Show the brother some love, man. Go download his music. You know what I mean? Support. All right, so I'm waiting on one more guest to pop in, and then we'll get this party started. What else do we have here going on? Listen, if you got flyers, please inbox me, send them to me. I will share them out. Oh, it was something else that I saw. Um, because the month of October is breast cancer breast cancer awareness month, and there was a flyer. Where is it? Oh, I can't find it right now, but um, I'll share it on my Facebook page. How about that? Okay. What else did I want to get out the way? Okay, let's make sure. Let me see. Let me send this link over to a lot's been happening, guys. And we're gonna talk about it tonight. We'll be able to get some answers from the mayor himself in regards to the curfew. What was his thinking behind it? Why did he do it? Um, and we'll also update the situation. Um, so let me start that right now while I do two things at one time. See if he cannot accomplish that. Um, here is the latest that I got from uh, the Andrews Police Department, and that's a press release that a lot of you have seen. And okay, there he is. And if you haven't seen it, that's not going to work right there. Stop that. Then, okay, there you go. So I can go back to this, and I want to read. I want to read to you guys this press release for those of you who haven't seen it and you want an update on the double homicide that took place in Andrews, South Carolina on Monday. Um, I'm sorry, on Sunday. All right, let's get to this page here. All right, press release. Andrews Police Department, Monday, September 25th. Shooting incident, intersection of West Main Street and North Beach Avenue. The Andrews Police Department was dispatched and responded to the intersection of West Main Street and Beach Avenue on Sunday, September 24th, approximately at 21:03, which would be 9:03 p.m. In reference to a shooting incident. Upon arrival, the Andrews Police Department found two gunshot victims on the ground. The gunshot victims were transported to the hospital where both victims tragically due to their injuries, passed due to their injuries. The Georgetown County Coroner's Office was notified by the hospital so that proper notification could be made to their families. South Carolina Law Enforcement Division SLED was called to process the scene. Andrews Police Department is actively investigating the incident along with SLED. If you were on the scene during the incident and witnessed this incident, please give the Andrews Police Department a call at 843-264-5223, or come by and speak with the chief of police, Chief Cockrell, or you can call 843-543-8183, or you can reach Major Chandler at 843-461-7231. The Andrews Police Department asks anyone who witnessed this incident to please step up and assist with the investigation. Okay. And again, we're gonna get deeper into that, as I just want to give everybody an update. Okay, we're gonna kind of switch gears and then set the floor here, and then we're gonna come back to that. All right. Um, so with that being said, I want to bring up my first guest here. Let's see what kind of format we using here. I'm gonna go. All right, where are we at? There we go. Let's see where that'll bring you into. All right, let me bring up. Let's see. All right, so let's do this right here for right now. And then so all right, hey, there he is. Welcome again to Real Talk Tuesday. Welcome to Andrews the podcast. Thank you, Mayor, for again. I know you just came in from a meeting. Um, anything you want to share from that meeting before we get into this?
Okay, let me get my volume right here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Yeah, the meeting tonight, hold one right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there we go. What about now?
No, you're fine.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you. All right.
Okay.
Well, tonight was we met with some citizens to discuss the campaign,
Mm-hmm.
get a progress update, and to give them some guidance on where we go next. Things are coming along very well. Reaching out to people and really sharing some key information with them that they just did not know for one reason or another. So I've got a pretty aggressive team out there that's doing some great work. But most importantly, is the education part on where our beloved town is and what's happening. You know, the facts based
Okay.
on
Okay.
based on documents. So that's kind of where we are, and those guys are out working as we speak.
I got you. I thought it was a town. I understand now.
No,
We'll get into that part. You know what I mean. We'll get into the political part. Um, did you happen to catch the interview yesterday with Mr. Jamar Langley?
I caught a portion of it, and in fact, I owe him a call tonight. But what I heard from you guys, man, that's great stuff. And again, we have folks now on a national level that are bringing some notoriety to our beloved town. His efforts through his talents, and the young lady, I think she's a teacher out of Texas, right? But her family is here, the
Mm-hmm.
Boyds, here right on the County Line Road, and throughout the town of Andrews. And again, they don't say we're from Georgetown County; they say Andrews, and that's special. That's really what it should be. And they're doing amazing things. So we'll have an opportunity to see him perform here on stage here in Andrews at the Heritage Festival on the 7th of October.
No doubt. And like always, man, I want to talk a little jacket football. I made it out to Green Sea Floyd. And it was it was an experience. It was, I mean, it rained from the time we hit the parking lot till I tapped out at halftime. I'm gonna have to be honest with you. I was completely soaked. I'm talking about I was telling my man about the umbrella I bought. That was useless. I mean, because the rain was blowing. It was, it was sideways. So, and I mean,
Yeah,
fortunately,
I was on my way out there, but I had to stop to honor my the request from a young man. A little 10-year-old wanted me to come out and watch him perform at Carver's Bay doing their homecoming. Unfortunately, the weather, as you said, and then the lines, I didn't realize it was homecoming until I got there, and people everywhere. So I did not
yeah,
make it to see him. And then after learning of the weather up in Greensea, I said, I'll take my little cold and go back home and try to nurse it. So I was under the weather a little bit too. So, but hey, the Jackets took it and did well. They bounced back from the loss.
yeah. They um shout out to this week's young man right here, Caden Dorsey,
Caden was the
player to
man, huh?
watch. This kid right here, man. I'm telling you, I've been tracking this kid since even. I mean, he's got ball skills, man. Great baseball player, and just as he gets, I'm watching. I'm enjoying just watching it as he gets more comfortable with the speed of the varsity level. He's. I mean, watching him jump routes, study receivers. Uh, yeah,
Is he a sophomore or junior?
sophomore.
Yeah, we have an amazing sophomore class right now.
Oh man, listen, yes
Hey,
sir.
as Deion Sanders said, Coach Prime says, you better get us now. Because when these sophomores come up, man, these guys, I mean, playing very well now. Very proud of all of them. But I'll tell you, the sophomore class is going to be something to be reckoned with here in the Double A. So they better get us now.
No doubt, and also, man, player of the week. This young man, he bounced back from he had a little ding on the shoulder in the Walkmore game. Took him out early in the first quarter.
Yeah.
But he came, and I mean, what was impressive, it was soaking wet, and he was throwing touchdown passes in the monsoon. You know what I mean? Like, the kid is fearless. That's I think that's his biggest attribute, is that you're gonna follow somebody like that. You know what I mean? Because he running into it, like, and
Well, he's a talented young man. He was voted all state cornerback last year.
yeah,
Okay. And so now he's transitioned. I think he's playing both ways. And so again, I think he's a part of that same class. No, he's a
he's a
junior.
junior. He's a junior.
He's
Yeah,
a junior. But think about it, at sophomore, you're talking about all state shut down cornerback is what young Brandon Cumbie was, man. He still is performing big time. They got big heart. And so, man, look, those guys, they're the truth. Yeah, they got to get ready for Marion. You're right, Pat. Because that Marion has a horse back there.
I heard.
But I will tell you, the thing is, that young man said the only team he's concerned about is Andrews. So the respect these guys bring or precedes them is pretty important. But you're right, they got to bring it.
Yeah, they definitely got to bring it. Hey, and of course, Aiden loved playing in that game. That's what linebackers. That's our kind of game. I mean, you know what I mean. The ball's gonna be popping out, and yeah, that kid was all over the field on special teams. And that's what I was telling somebody. You want to end up on a college roster, you show out on special teams.
Hey, Aiden, man, I'm telling you, I watched him play. Obviously from where I sit, but listening to his interview and all these young men, you learn the other side, man. And I'll tell you, it is heartfelt. These guys, we have smart, intelligent young men. They play hard, but they have a story.
Mm-hmm.
And people need to know that they're not just, jocks. These are smart young men. Whether they make it at the collegiate level or not, they are going to go places. And I'm telling you. So I really enjoyed his interview as the others, but it gives you an opportunity to learn our future leaders wherever they end up. These kids, I'm very proud of them, and I'm sure their parents are too. And again, to you, continue to do what you're doing for these young men and women, the cheerleaders, the volleyball. I know you can't get to them all.
Yeah, man, and that's the
Yeah.
that's the struggle. But yeah, I'm about to get out of politics, man. That's better. That's better. I'm keeping it real.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
just
know.
better.
That's what it is. Yeah, when you can help these kids launch or get the notoriety, because oftentimes, it's like many things we deal with in our little neighborhood, we don't get the credit. The kids don't get the credit and for what is good about them, and so appreciate the platform. You say what night do these little guys play? Hey, we're talking both the JV and I haven't had an opportunity to see the JV.
Oh yeah,
And,
you got to see them. You
you
got
have.
to see them. You got to see them. You got to see them kids. Yeah, I got to see them play. And it's some special athletes over there. Number 25, Dyshawn Bennett from Sampit. Oh my goodness, man, this looked like a young Levon Kirkland off of that defensive end. And like he said, they kept holding him. And I'm watching it close. Like still couldn't. And his granddaddy even tell you that. What? His granddaddy was out there. Number 25. Hey, he told me when he saw me, he said, cameraman, number 25.
You're the cameraman now?
I'm the cameraman now. You know what I mean? Yeah, man.
Nah, but these kids, man, they warm your heart, man. Sometimes bring tears, but they are awesome kids, and we need to continue to uplift them. So,
back at you, Miss Claire. You know what I mean? I know one thing, y'all mess with me. The Coopers got my back. You know what I mean? So, hey, before we hop off into politics, man, listen, let me bring these guys up and let's do this, because tonight, again, we're gonna get into that, but I know this guy here sitting in the back, like, man, I want to talk some football too, because you know what I mean. He Andrews High too. There he is, right there. Y'all see him up there.
What's going on, team?
Team, everything going, sir.
All right.
Hey,
this is a surprise.
Hey, can I get you guys to turn your phones landscape. Boom. Boom. Look. Y'all see what y'all just did? Y'all boy, hey, them two directors right there. Spike Lee and Steven Spielberg. That's what it is, man. Yeah. So hey, Jared, you been able to catch any games, man? Let's before we hop off into this, because I want to bring you guys into this discussion, okay? Because I got some questions about we all tied to Andrew, so we all what I mean, this is under the tree conversation right here, on the internet, but so everybody can hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so first let me introduce these guys from all the way from out there in Tennessee, Kentucky border, right?
Tennessee.
He's in Tennessee, but he lives right there on the border over there near Fort Campbell, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. No
yes,
doubt.
Sir.
Minister Mike, you see him repping his Kansas City Chiefs heavy in the building.
That's right.
But I had Mike on a while back. When he came home during when his mother-in-law passed. And I'm still impressed, man, the way you handled yourself and handled during that time. That was huge. That prayer still sticks with me to this day, bro. Like, and so but yeah, I got Minister Mike in. Minister Mike, tell people, again, where you're from and how you connected to Andrews.
So I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri, and I was connected to Andrews from meeting Mary and Kim. I'm married to Kimberly Morris, which is now Flanagan, but the Morrises and Phil Morris, that's my family too. And so Andrews has now become part of my family. I've been coming back and forth to Andrews for about 19, 20 years now. And so, and that's kind of how we got, me and my wife, we met. She was in the military, I was in the military, and we met in church, actually. So, yeah, that's it.
All right, and brother Gibson, everybody know you, so we ain't even got to go through that with you. But any thoughts on these kids and this program? I seen this is an interesting comment right here. Brother Pat put up here. He says Twitter and huddle mainstream now is easy to get recruited, but the grades, yeah, and all that's gonna fall into this conversation tonight. Got to be on point. Wish them kids the best. Worked out at my gym all summer, and we appreciate that because we can see that in the fourth quarter. Pat, as you stop giving up the secrets. Okay, nobody asked you all that, but what they did all summer. You talking too much now.
But we'll get to that. But Pat is certainly the key to these guys strengthening. Man, I know they got the program at school, but that off season business that goes down in terms of working out and getting fit. Big kudos to Pat Cumbie, who's been doing it, long before I got here, and this guy just keep picking up the pace, not just with the kids, but a lot of the others that are challenged with health issues or weight. You see them go into the field house, and they come out better. So big kudos to Pat Cumbie. Appreciate you, sir.
No doubt. But go ahead, Jared. What you got to add there real fast? What you got? Because I know you're very active in coaching. Basketball is your thing. I know you're an Eagles fan. That's why I put that up there. You and Veronica McClary. That's it for the Eagles. Y'all them did the Eagles quota. That's it.
Great program. Great to see kids actually going to the gym in the off season and working out with Coach Cumbie, who was a heck of a linebacker, not only at the high school level, but at the collegiate level as well. It would behoove a lot of kids to get in the weight room, regardless of what sport you play, in the off season to become stronger, not just physically, but it helps with mental endurance as well. Goes a long way in any sport that you play. And a guy like himself who actually stays in the gym, himself could actually help you in a manner that the average high school coach can't in terms of strengthening the conditioning. Um, but that's neither here nor there. Great program, doing a great job there. I think they'll have a good chance to go deep in the playoffs. And one thing that I can say is that kids are actually going to school from that football program. So hopefully that trend will continue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, but Pat, let me get you straight right now, because I seen your little post about the Hall of Fame, and I agree with you. We need to establish a Hall of Fame. But the next time you write and you talking basketball, because I understand Bethany was softball and all this other stuff too, but you better put Demetra Hannah name up there, because I was in the gym that night. She dropped 54 at Ames High. Okay, I was in the gym, 54, 56. I was there that night. So
56.
okay, put some respect on it, big dog, real fast. One time, cuz I got you. Don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about that. But yeah, we're gonna entertain that conversation too. All right, guys, listen, we're gonna switch gears here real fast. All right. And we're gonna get into what's you know what I mean, what everybody's kind of focused on right now, and that is the situation that's going on in Andrews, South Carolina. So on yesterday, the town had an emergency town hall meeting, and if you would, Mayor, I know that a curfew was put in place. Can you give us some more detail about that? And then if you're watching and you got questions, you know what I mean, and you want to add to this, please, this is the time to go ahead and hop in there. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I think most of your listeners are aware that we had a double homicide, and I know you spoke about it earlier here during the opening of the show. And very unfortunately, my heart and prayers go out to the families affected, the town that's affected by this tragic loss of lives. It's been happening. It's happening across the world. Certainly, Andrews is not immune to it, and it's happening here. And so then, as a result of that, as you think about this, and it's been in many of these incidents involving our teenagers, and I'm talking about from 14 to 17 years old, the guns that that get into these young men and women hand are just it's unbelievable. And so we see this as a pattern now. And again, it's a pandemic. The way I describe it across this country, across this world. But after that situation the other night, as the council gathered, call a meeting, and I said we got to take some measures. This does not solve the issue by any measure, but what we're trying to do now is put a protected shield around our underage kids, because they're for whatever reason they're out and about, and sometimes they're wandering into areas that is not conducive for whatever reason, to them. And so what we're doing now, again, we're looking at the numbers, and the reality of this thing is that there's a lot of our young kids. One of the victims was 17 years old, and so the council, we all decided that we will put the curfew is only for the ages under 18. And at a certain time, I don't have the ordinance in front of me right now, but it's I think it's during the week. It's at 7:00. They have to be either in transit going somewhere. They cannot be loitering or hanging out in large crowds or any of those things. And that's for our 17-year-olds. We're not restricting any other freedom of movement, commerce, none of that business. It's that we want them to be home and not hanging out on the corners and doing things that are not, again, that could lead to something else, because the situation can change just like that. So we got to protect that age group. And sometimes they're drawn into these things. So that's the whole purpose. The other piece of that is the twofold. The other piece is lottery. So we're right now have restricted any large gatherings of any sort, just in public places. Okay. And again, there's hours associated with it. We have not published it yet because we have this ordinance that we just again discussed yesterday. And the reason for yesterday's meeting is to get permission, agreement from the council that we can go ahead and move forward with developing this ordinance. So it's being tweaked and adjusted to ensure again, and then a legal opinion to ensure that we're not overreaching our authority. We're not restricting any liberties that that we don't have the authority to do so. In other words, but this is really in the protection, and so we're in coordination or with the schools and others. We've talked, spoken with the principal, and we haven't put it out yet. But I know I see it came through the town earlier, and it's pretty much bare. And that's because it's a work week, it's a school week, and prayerfully kind of stays like that. And I've spoken with the business owners that generally have those large crowds around them, and they're all in support of this curfew and enforcing the no loitering, which we've already had that in place. We just never really enforced it. And this it will not. Yeah, so good question. And so the language that it's going to, so we have homecoming and the Heritage Festival on the 6th and 7th. It is written such that it provides for these activities to take place. Of course, we will increase our make sure that's not the chief calling. Okay, that's not him. We will increase our security. The streets will be blocked specifically for the festival, like we always do. So that's a control space. That is government property at that point in time. We own that. So all things applied to any other government facility will apply to this area. And the street will be blocked from Rosemary down to Beach. And inside those compounds, the chief, members of the SLED and other agencies, again, some uniformed, some in plain clothes, that will ensure that this is a safe environment. And we asked again, not just them, because obviously they are outnumbered. We need all of the participants of these events to be vigilant and watch for things that is just not conducive to a good time.
So,
go ahead.
The language, all right, with the language, is there anything in the language that so we're dealing with underage? This is to stem the underage kids from being out doing. Is there any language in there that will have any repercussions on the parent? Will the parent have to? Obviously, they'll have to pay the fine if the kid doesn't work or whatever. I don't even know if there's a fine associated with it. But is there anything in there? And I don't know that you could do that as a government body, but I'm putting that out there.
It's not a fine, but as Chief explained it, and he certainly can explain it better than I can. Bottom line is that if these kids are, and we ask again the adults to identify them, make sure these kids are continuing to move it, if they happen to be wandering around. But he can call the parents. You have, your son or daughter, either come get them or we'll take them to you. Now that's very taxing, because again, these guys are out here to make sure that the real crime and things are doesn't happen or brought to justice. So this is going to be taxing. Don't get me wrong. But this is where the community, we really have to band together to look out for our kids at home, and when they're out going about their business. Then we have to be, adults and be responsible and watch out for each other's children. We will ask the school. We'll be in communication once we get this thing approved, and communicate with the school and help us take care of our kids. So then if and again, I'll have Chief on. In fact, I think me and Chief may come on and do another segment with you here.
And that's what I would, because
because I want him to speak to this, because I don't want to speak out of turn, but there are measures that can be taken to safeguard these kids without them having any kind of citation, those kind of business. So it really is about putting a protective shield around our kids.
It's really about the no snitching. It's really about the community. Because I've seen people putting out there saying, as I'm going through Facebook, insinuating that, hey, more cops would be the situation. Well, you have more cops that'll be at the scene that'll be more cops that's not getting more information. That's not getting information. All right, I want you guys to hop in there at some point. Like,
let me put some context on that. And you're right.
Okay.
and again, you're comparing apples and oranges, but when you look at the ratio of police officers to citizens, New York City, 40,000 police officers. 40,000. In fact, our major is a retired officer from the New York PD with tons of experience. So I got it firsthand, other than just what I'm reading. And you look at the crime rate. They got to understand that really you're not going to have enough officers to be aware. That's why the citizens are so important to report and capture this thing and share it so the investigation can be expedited. And then, we can bring these folks to justice. Yeah. So yeah, I would love to have more, and we're doing that. But you're not going to have enough to cover everything, and that's why it takes a community to police a community. That's the important thing. And the snitch, it ain't snitching. It's really you're helping to bring these bad people to justice, get them off the street.
Yeah, and that's what I hope in this conversation, that we able to clarify the difference. What's the difference in snitching and being a responsible citizen? Give me some thoughts, Minister Mike.
What you want thoughts
on how just from your from your background, how has that no snitching affected? I mean, have you seen that effect, like have an effect where you have a situation happen and people all people got to do is just step up and say what they saw, but they refuse to.
I mean, from my background, I'm from the gutter, so thank the Lord he saved my life, and I don't have to live that way now. But, the one thing I'm gonna tell you, that you don't know, if you only know one way of living and one way of life, is a culture that's created, is that you operate by different standards, and that's the street mentality. And the street mentality will tell you that snitching is snitches put people in ditches and all that kind of language like that, but at the end of the day it's all of that's fine and dandy till it hits your home. See, a lot of people worry about their 4 and no more. See, the thing behind it is that whenever you're in a community, this one thing that God gave me wisdom to understand, it's not even about you. See, wherever you operate, it's about the community that you live in. Do you really want to be living in a community where you have to lock your door? I remember the time we didn't have to lock our doors, y'all. But do we remember now, every day we got to make sure we lock our cars, double lock our doors, and all this stuff? Got to have a gun ready and loaded when we go to sleep at night. So these are the things that I don't necessarily know, but as a parent, right, I don't think that I really want to. I mean, if we have to live that way now, if we don't change things as a community altogether and as a nation altogether, I mean, it's only going to continue to get worse for our children. So I think that for us, right, there's a boldness that we have to have. Now, I'm saying we got to operate in wisdom, but there is a boldness that we have to take back our communities and say, hey, put a foot, say this no longer will exist here. This no longer will take here. And it can be offensive to everybody, right? It may not feel good. It may not, just like with this curfew, it may not be pleasing to everybody, but it's the message is trying to drive home. And it's the objective is to make sure that our communities are safe and sound so that we can get back to what we consider a normal way of living.
Man.
Go ahead, Brother Jared.
I'll put it this way. If you're a civilian and if you have children in that community and you have relatives in that community, and you're not of that other ilk, then it's your responsibility to say something in regards to what occurred in order to curb the negative energy that's occurring within said community. Meaning that if you didn't see anything, you didn't see anything. But if you see something, then it's your responsibility to say something as a civilian. If you're not out here living by the sword and dying by the sword, then yeah, you should go out of your way. to when it's affecting other people that you know in said community. I'll say that.
It should bother you. I mean, it should bother any normal person.
Can I add this too, Jamal?
Go ahead, brother.
Can I add this too? On top of that, right? This is like, I think that when we think about human lives, right? I understand like sometimes that it could be somebody that I didn't even like in this community. These two young men right here, I didn't personally know them, but my heart pours out to their family members. Somebody loved them. It was somebody's son, somebody, somebody's family member. And so I just think that at the end of the day is when people talking about I ain't gonna snitch, I ain't gonna do this. I mean, my thing is this though, like what if the tables will turn and God forbid it to happen, and then it happened in your family and nobody wants to speak or bring justice to that. Then it becomes a different reality, right? When realities flip the tables, it becomes different. Now then is snitching okay then? You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't get it.
So yeah, and that's you said something earlier, man, that was key. And it's like, do you want to live in a community like that? Like, are you cool with living in a community like that? Because there are plenty of communities that literally don't need any policing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we need to start looking at. Like you know what I mean? Like everybody's screaming, and we need more police. Why? Why are we not policing ourselves? Why are we not, again, like Minister Mike was saying, why
You said it right there.
are we not taking that bold action?
See, it's the thing behind it though, is like, back in the day, the saying that it takes a village, it rang true back in the day, because I had many of moms in the neighborhood that if I was messing up, I knew my mom was going to know. Matter of fact, I hurried my butt home because I was like, I hope I can tell the story before they do. But the thing behind it is now everybody's so cautious about saying something to another child, somebody else's child, and cautious that parent will get worried and be like, you can't talk to my child like this, and you can't say. It's like, it's I don't know where that stemmed from, but I think it's us leaders, right, in our communities. I think I could tell my wife all the time, it's not that I don't sit there, that I don't care, but my morals and values are to say what's right in the midst of what's wrong. And I have to stand on something or I'll fall for anything.
For anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I was just looking through, getting prepared for the show, and I'm gonna show you this. This took place a year ago. So that's the thing about service, and because your leadership has been called into question there, Mayor. And it's hey, I want to share this here with you guys. This was a year ago. Okay, let's get this queued up here. Add that to the stage, and then we go here.
Town Avengers, I want to take a few minutes just to talk to you about a real serious situation we have here in town, and it's surrounding the gun violence, the recent gun violence that we've had here. These incidents have now spiked, and most of these gun carriers are teenagers. Not so sure how teenagers are getting guns in their hands, but right now we've had a series of gun incidents in town. In fact, we had a young man that was shot, and thankfully he's surviving. He's going through treatment, improvement. But we're going to have to get involved and stop the gun violence. Currently, we right now forming a committee of our citizens to now take a proactive role in adding awareness and prevention of these things and making our kids aware of the dangers of these weapons. Part of that is going to be an education piece of that. Part of it is now showing them the hazards of guns if it's misuse. I've spent 30 years in the military, and I've dealt with weapons from small caliber up to large caliber and up to missiles. So I know the dangers if you don't understand how to use these things to put them into operations for the right reasons. They're not meant for kids to have. And unfortunately, right now in Andrews, we have a serious problem, and we're going to have to get control of it. That's from our parents in the schools, the local government. Everybody has to be involved in this effort now to, again, to stop the violence. And so we'll be reaching out to other members and citizens in the community to be a part of this organization we're forming here, to get out the word, to bring the awareness and the education, and also what happens if someone is involved in this and in the rehabilitation piece of this thing. But we ask that all become vigilant and talk to our kids and adults about the guns and the drugs in our town. They're all nested together. We're going to have to do something about this. I'll be speaking with officials above at the county and the state level for assistance with these problems we have in town, but we're going to have to get this thing under control immediately. So I thank you all for your involvement to stop the gun violence. Okay? So
that's like a good mixtape. That's like a classic right there. We could play that every year. That's the sad part about it. And here's where we get gangsta at it right now. This is why it's real talk, right? Because doing when all that was going on, listen, I was reaching out to the NAACP in the area, nothing. They garbage. Reaching out to the sheriff department, them, trying to form this gun violence thing, nothing. Where were these so-called leaders who stepping up now? That was last year, okay? And so been on the front line and gonna continue to be on the front line. So that's why I get a little agitated with these people coming stepping in. Like this stuff is serious, okay? So if you're not willing to get out here and do the work, get on the ground and do the work, stay away. You're playing politics is dangerous. But Mayor, what do you think? What do you think? I didn't prep you for that one right there, but what do you think about that?
Yeah,
that video.
Yeah, you didn't. And a year later, almost a date, and we're dealing with it again. And not just it was a series of them along the way. And as a leader, it hits the core of the heart, to be honest with you, because we're losing a lot of lives unnecessarily. And there's got to be a way to resolve these things other than guns. And so to see that it really hasn't curtailed, it actually kind of, picked up, to be honest with you.
Nationwide. I mean,
nationwide.
Georgetown, I mean, right.
And
King Street is not far.
Yeah. So, yeah, it bothers me because you want to, as a leader, cut the bad things out, whether it's a bad pipe or bad people, you want to get it out of the system, and it's just not that easy. And so we got to do better. We got to spend some time with those that we have to be able to. What they teach us in the military, and I know Brother Gibson can tell you that, because I can tell by the walls that's where you are right now. We're taught as leaders to be able to see and understand in a quick assessment whether our people are going through something. You got to know them that well. And if you see them that they've changed, you got to pull them to the side and get them, talk to them and try to get ahead of what it is, because it could result into something like this, especially these days, because that's the first course of action is a gun. So if we see that as parents and leaders, or whatever the case may be, if the kid or the young man or woman is not having a good day, you got to talk to them. I mean, talk with them, not at them, and probably try to get ahead of this thing and show them a different way to resolve said issue. Because, and here's the challenge that leaders are having, parents, everybody having today, is that a lot of this stuff is already at its height because it's being fought in social media and we don't see it.
So that's sort of I wanted to direct that question towards you. This question towards you, Mike. I want you to respond to what I'm getting ready to say. By the time the violence happens, like when the violence happens, it's so much that's happened up to that point that what you know what I mean? How do we stop it from getting to that point? Or what are some solutions that you as a father are employing in your house to stop them from getting to that point the best you could, at the best of your ability?
Are you talking to me, Jamal?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll say this, right? There's not enough leaders as men in our communities. A lot of women, but there's not enough leaders as men.
Say that again, brother. Say that
There's
again.
not
Let me
enough
matter of fact,
leaders
let
as
me
men.
put something. Let me put some respect on that.
Yeah. And the only way that we can teach our young men as examples is to step up and to fill in those voids. Now, I'm not saying every household has a man in that household, but see but that's why I said we got to get outside of worrying about just our four and no more. We have to be able to, like what I tell my mom tonight, we just had a conversation. It's funny we talking about this, right? Because I told my mom I had finally got to a certain point where I wouldn't live in life very selfishly anymore. My life is about how I can be used in order to impact the legacy that's going to be left behind me. See, I ain't here just for me anymore. I'm too old for that. Whatever I went through, whatever God, His grace has carried me through, is for me to teach those that are coming up behind me and hopes to save some life. God forbid that these two young men could have had somebody pull them off to the side. It's our job to see these things, as Mayor was saying. But the thing behind it is, right, is that we got to start this stuff in the house first and foremost before it even gets out here. Now, I will say one thing that infects us community, especially as small as Andrews, is that the fact that the overwhelming amount of drugs. Now, you can't talk to somebody that's just out of their mind either. It's very hard to do whenever you have drugs that's in causing a blockage of being able to consciously hear somebody. So the communities, even where I'm living at now, it's not just it's a trend across the United States. Young people are so desensitized nowadays that human life has no value to them. And it's all really stemming from social popularity or drugs, and all this stuff is being rammed down our throat like this is the cool way of living. We've done got so far away from what the truth is that now we live a complete lie.
No
you got to take
guys. I want. Go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
you got to take into account, and I hate to say it, the average teenager in Georgetown County, regardless of what high school you go to, is using some form of narcotics. Then you also got to look at the fact that a lot of these kids are going into the system at 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. You got kids having kids. Um, our elder statesmen, as much as you could try to pour into young men and women, or young kids, I'll say, a lot of these kids may get it at home in some aspect, but they're doing their own thing, at the end of the day, which is sad. It's not like having uh, uh, an adult to come in
But
and
that's gotta
chastise them
stop.
one way or
Like
another.
that. You know what I mean? Like, and I follow you, but I think we're at a place now where that completely has to stop. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we can't even you can't do your own thing at this point, okay? Because obviously doing your own thing has got us to where we at now. You feel what I'm saying? So at a point again, like brother, Minister Mike was saying, somebody gonna have to be offended, you know. But guys, I want to welcome to the panel my man from Fab News and Beyond. Shout out to you, Pastor Moultrie.
Yeah. Good evening, guys. How y'all doing? I'm listening to y'all conversation. You have a very interesting conversation. And I know that many times, people don't want to hear about the church and they don't want to hear about God. But here's the reality. I think a lot of the problems can be solved when a lot of preachers get out the pulpit and go to the community.
Amen.
That's the bottom line. Because here's the reality, man. Until you change your mind, your actions ain't gonna never change.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was working on my doctorate, man, I did my dissertation on family. And here's what I found, man. I found in 2021, the average parent who gave birth, 90-something% of the parents, man, they were from 13 to 19. Listen to what I'm saying. They gave birth from 13 to 19. So that's telling me if they're 13 to 19, then the grandmama is later 20s, early 30s, who has no sense of direction. And we're wondering why these kids are running rampant. Who's raising them? Grandma is not like me and your grandmama now. You pull up at grandmama's house, boy, you got a whole meal. If you do the wrong thing, now I know me. And I grew up in Sampson, man, and everybody went to one church. And so if you do the wrong thing, man, down the road, and you go to church, man, they're going to tell. You're going to get it. You're going to get it for embarrassing the family. You know what I'm saying? You might get it at home, but it depends on the situation. You might get it right on the church ground. And so we have to understand, man, and I say this a lot of times as leaders, man, and I want you to think about this, and I want the people to think about this. We want to say there is no place even for leaders in government, but God said respect the government. There is actually here. All that is going on in Andrews right now. Why do you have to wait till somebody's murder to pray for the mayor, to pray for the community? Why can't you just say, hey, Mayor McClary, all that is going on right now, let's pray. Let me pray for your mental state, because I want to tell you something, man. And people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to face it. But listen, mental health is real. And I pray for Mayor McClary's mental state right now, because listen, at the end of the day, it's just like when COVID hit, man. There's a lot going on with COVID, but guess what? Nobody had a manual to tell you how to navigate the church through all that is going on with COVID. Just like right now, the mayor is up against a whole lot of stuff that's going on in Andrews. And unfortunately, guess what? I'm praying for you, Mayor McClary, because guess what? There's not a manual on the sheriff that you can pull off. There's not a municipality that you can call, and the municipality can tell you everything, how to deal with everything. But guess what they can't do? They can't tell you how do you deal with a $100 million problem that you got when the people who right next door is getting your taxes and they won't even give you $5,000. They can't tell you, man, how do I deal with all this situation? And everybody, I watch, again, I don't have a dog in the fight in Andrews because I don't live there. I can't vote there. You know what I'm saying? But I just watch everybody attack this man, assassinate this man. But I wonder how many looked at the Georgetown County today. We're talking about bad sewer. We're talking about bad roads. We're talking about not enough
Come on.
Hey, we're talking about all this, but you dumping all this money into a new jailhouse when there ain't nothing wrong with the old one.
Hey, Fab got my show notes.
You feel me? So, but I'm looking at the mayor, and here's the deal. I know this. I can tell you in my congregation, because my people believe enough in me to show up every Sunday, they'll listen to me. They'll listen to me. It's just like Jim Jones people made those people drink poison. They'll listen to the leader, man, because they got faith in the leader. So I question this. How many leaders have reached out to Mayor McClary and say, hey, I'm praying for you. What can me and my congregation do? We see what is happening. Because listen, there's an elephant in the room in Andrews, man. And I don't know how everybody is sitting here saying, look, man, this is the problem. It's kind of like I tell people, I'm not Democratic and I'm not Republican. I'm for whoever the best man for the job. You understand? Because at the end of the day, the Democrat ain't gonna do nothing for me. The Republican ain't gonna do. All of my help come from the Lord. I rely on the Lord to pick who is the best candidate, not Democratic or Republican. But I'm going to show you this. And people may disagree, but I'm going to tell you, when we look at the world, everybody blame the Bush administration for what went on in the world. But can I tell you something? If the Bushes inherited what Clinton gave out all this free stuff. And it's no different than the mayor. The mayor sitting here, he's inherited a mess, and you want him to fix it in 4 years. It didn't get there in 4 years.
Absolutely. So,
you understand?
Mr. Gary Smalls has chimed in, and he says that you're wrong. That jailhouse on 51 is in bad shape. Now, Mr. Gary, before you answer, Mr. Gary, I agree with you that is in bad shape and that it's probably unsafe for the employees that work there and the inmates that they house it. I agree. So something should be done about that. Now, can you find it? Do you have the intestinal fortitude to apply that same logic to the town hall in Andrews that's over 100 years old, that's documented with problems? Okay, can you apply that same logic and say to me that, okay, the same issues unsafe is unsat, right? The same issues apply to both places. One place is going to take $67 million, and one place is being denied $3 million that that belongs to it. Okay, and you make that make sense, sir. Okay. Oh man, we got somebody else popped in. Who else then popped in here?
Well, let me say something else too.
Okay. Oh,
Brother Jamal. Let me say something else. Go ahead. Brother Smalls, I'm not arguing that the jail ain't bad. It's bad. There's a situation. But guess what? There are choices that some people make now to put them in that situation. The people in Andrews, a lot of these people didn't make the choices. The man didn't make the choice. He made the choice to run, but not to inherit all these problems. Now he's trying to fix the problems. And I can tell you, man, when you look at the county council meeting, man, there's a number of places that the county could get money. There's a number of places, man. I mean, you got all kind of places, man, that they can pull money from everywhere. Unfortunately, the mayor doesn't have that. He don't have those resources. He is, and here's the thing now. The county can pull these resources from everywhere. The mayor is relying on the resources. He ain't asking them to give him anything. They should want to give it to him. You know why? These people pay their taxes to the county. So they're entitled to this. You understand? Listen, man, this ain't rocket science. They are entitled to this money. When they get their house tax, when they get their property tax, when they get their vehicle taxes, they ain't paying it at the city of Andrews. They paying it at Georgetown County.
No doubt.
I hear, listen, man, I hear what you say, but can I tell you something? If the jail is that bad, Jamal, like everybody's saying it is, then do what other people do. I live in Florence. I cover a lot of news. And guess what happens, man? I'm going to give you a prime example right in Andrews. What happened a few months ago? Williamsburg County was short of deputies, right? Florence County sent them deputies to help. You saw Florence County all over the county line road trying to help Williamsburg County. Well, guess what? If Georgetown County detention center is that bad, put the inmates on a bus and take them to another county. You're not going to take them to the county because you don't want to give up the money. So, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't even make sense. If it's that bad and it's that deplorable, then two things. One, regardless of whether the person commit a crime or a person need a job, if you're that concerned, why are you making them work in that kind of condition? Why are you making the inmates live in that kind of condition? Why not take them to Williamsburg County? Why not take them to Florence County? Why not take them to Horry County? Listen, and I'm a hush to say this. Jamal, if there was an individual who they thought their life was threatened, they wouldn't put him in Georgetown. They would take him to another county jail. If they thought the boys was going to get a hold to him, right? They would take him to Georgetown. They would take him to Horry County or some other county. Well, tell me, what is the difference with taking these inmates somewhere else and blocking this part of the jailhouse off if it's that bad? Again, I say this, man, with strong conviction. The man ain't asking for nothing. This is what's due to the people of Andrews, man. They pay their taxes to the county. You understand? They don't deserve this.
And the millage rate is doubled now. But so hey, listen, Mayor. I had a question there. Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about. I again, you know me, trolling Facebook as I do. I found some stuff over on I'm going to describe it as the church site that has turned into a political site, right? And also, listen, I'm gonna put this on the screen right here. Let me hit this again. Andrews Police Department number is on the screen. If you've seen something, say something. Do the right thing. Okay? Do the right thing. All right? Again, don't wait until it's your family, it's at your door. Okay? Do the right thing. All right? All right, where was that? Okay, yeah, Andrews Church page of politics. And this race has turned hey, and also with your permission, I just got something from your campaign manager. Can I play this video real fast?
Yes, sir. Let me say this, throw it out there. Two things.
Okay.
I was very impressed with Pastor Mutru's knowledge of what's happening here and the truth that came from what he said. And he doesn't live here. He used to. I think you live in the Darlington or Florence area, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I appreciate what you said, because he and we haven't had this conversation. So I was very impressed with your level of knowledge and understanding of what reality is. Second thing, so I appreciate that. Second thing is that I also want to get some feedback.
Go ahead.
You good? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Second thing is announced is that Sunday was a bad day, as we talked about, with a double homicide. We also had a robbery early that morning at Piggly Wiggly. That person now is in custody. That person is not in custody and being transported back. And I want to thank the department from LATA, working through Andrews PD and the Georgetown County Sheriff Department now to get this guy back for justice. And so
they picked him up in LATA?
Yes. And we'll yes, he was very helpful, and I'll keep it at that. But
I got you.
Again, the network between departments, and so then from that department down to Chief Cockrell, and then that information, because the county responded to that call, and so they will prosecute this case. But this guy is now in custody, and we're happy with all the agencies working together, and we appreciate that. We need the same level of communication and assistance from the community to bring that person that's responsible for the death of these two young men to justice as well. Okay, all right, sir, go ahead.
All right, yeah, man. I just got an email in, and let's see what they said. They asked me to play this.
Mayor Frank McClary, a man on a mission, who understood the assignment: town budget, fiscal responsibility, town infrastructure, tackling neglected projects, town independence, making sure its citizens have the final say, town growth, paving the way for future investments, Re-elect Mayor Frank McClary to continue the mission of serving in the best interest of all the people of Andrews. Mayor Frank McClary, a man on a mission, who understood the assignment, town budget, fiscal responsibility, town infrastructure, tackling neglected projects, town independence, making sure its citizens have the final say, town growth, paving the way for future investments. Re-elect Mayor Frank McClary to continue the mission of serving in the best interest of all the people of Andrews.
All right, let's go around the room. Let me get the first thoughts. I'm gonna start right there up top. Minister Mike, what do you think about that campaign video there?
I think that Mayor McClary, I think that you, sir, not being from Andrews, not living there and stuff like that, but from my wife and her family and stuff like that, I haven't heard anything but good things about you. I agree with Pastor down here too, that many times in life in general, there are things that people don't have. They have unrealistic expectations and what's expected and have no clue of the responsibilities of a mayor. So, sir, I pray for you. I pray that your success, and I know that you have. I do know this about you, being a veteran, a man of God, a man of character. I do believe that you have Andrew's best interest at hand, and I believe that is near and dear to your heart. So I pray nothing but for success for you and ultimately for the town of Andrews.
And thank you for your service, sir. Didn't know that. I met you on the podcast before. Listen in.
Yeah,
I did not catch the fact that beyond being a minister and you're a soldier as well. So
yes,
thank
sir.
you for your service. I appreciate you.
Thank you too.
All right, go ahead there, Brother Moutry. What's your thought on the campaign video?
Well, I think it's a great video, man. I think it spells out a whole lot, man. It tells, and in spite of a lot that is being said, I commend you, Mayor, because even with all of the opposition, you ain't hiding. You call meetings and you come out, man. You address the situation. While I watch, there's a whole lot of, I call them social media gangsters. They'll post a whole lot of stuff on social media, but yet still, when you have a meeting, I don't see that crowd there. I don't see them answering anything. They want to call, media in from all over town, but I don't see them there. I don't see them coming to talk about the truth, and again, man, I commend you for making the best with what you have, man. It's hard, and I understand, man, because I serve on the board. It's hard when you're not getting funding and you have to make a decision. Do I take the fund from over here to make this work? Or do I take the fund from over there to make this work? And I'm trying to move the funds around and juggle it so that I can cover everything. But the reality of it is I'm just not getting the funds. And this is what is amazing to me is you're on the out front, but I don't see the county councils coming to your meeting. I don't see them at your meeting. I don't see them volunteer and say, okay, Mayor, listen, I'm going to put this in my budget. I'm going to use some of my discretionary money to give to you. But yet I see them now. And this is what the people of Andrews need to really call these county councilmen to the carpet, because they're building dog kennels, man. And they're building dog parks. But they don't have any money to give you for the water, for the sewer, for the laminated pipe. How can you as an individual control the pipes collapsing? Listen, man, you don't live in Florence. You live in Andrews, so if the pipes collapse, hey, man, you got to go to Piggly Wiggly. So you got to see the people who the pipe collapsed on their street. You got to see them in Piggly Wiggly. You got to see him at the gas station. You got to see him at the Subway you brought there. You got to see him at the O'Reilly that you brought there. So what I think the people really need to look at, man, is look at your report card. What does your report card really say? Don't look at all the stuff that is going on in Andrews, because some of it, man, you just inherit. I kind of use this scenario. Man, I'm fat now, man. But I ain't got fat because I just ate the pork chop sandwich yesterday. This years of eating those pork chop sandwich, and it finally caught up with me. You follow me? So in previous administration, those things that got, that were not dealt with, now they just collapsing on your watch. But still yet, I say this. They're arguing with you about pipes, sewer, the police. But nobody's saying anything about moving that EMS service, man. All the way out of the city. That's not important.
And that
could have came in handy on Sunday.
Exactly. Nobody's saying anything about, hey, Newton, you guys, when y'all gonna give the mayor some money to fix the bad pipe in front of my yard. Give the mayor the money and let him use his discretion where he want to put the money at. Nobody's talking about that, Jamal. Nope. And that's offensive to me. Again, I've never lived in Andrews. I'm from Georgetown County, from Sanford. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't know the mayor. I don't know anything about the mayor. Just from the media standpoint, I sit back, I watch, I look, and I pay attention as a good journalist. But again, I leave you with this thought. If they can put thousands of dollars into a dog park, and they're not willing to put thousands of dollars into the water that the people have to drink, they're no different than the people that was in Flint, Michigan. They're the same people, man, and nobody's saying anything about it. Nobody care about it. But guess what? Pick on McClary. And in my closing, I'll say this. But this is what I like, man. You ain't running. You ain't hot. You having the meetings. And they're not coming. But the people who should be held accountable, they're running, man. They're hiding. I look at your opponent who's running. You tell me, and this is what the people got to think about. You tell me your opponent has been by a man who doesn't bring any money to Andrews, and the people are going to follow him up. That's absurd. If anybody, that's crazy. That's crazy thinking, man. But that's my thought.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Brother Gibson.
Well, I know when he took over, Andrews didn't have any money. They were in the red. They had a $3 million surplus due to him doing the things that he needed to do to rectify the wrongs that has been occurring well over 30 years since the beginning of the 90s in terms of the things that have occurred not on his watch. His record speaks for itself. 30 years of military service, and he could sit back in his retirement home and chill if he really wanted to. But due to his selflessness, he comes back home to pretty much try to get his town up the par.
According to them, he sneaks out of that house. He gonna be sneaking out from where he at right there.
And I mean, he could be living his life. I mean, it just goes to show you how selfless he is. He's not about a title. A lot of people that were mayor of Andrews was about accolades and titles. He's not an entitled person. All he's done since he's been back is try to rectify the wrongs of others. Bring business. Get the community to bond. When's the last time, before there was a heritage, when's the last time we had a heritage festival before he actually became mayor? When the last time we had a good old days before he actually became mayor? Put that in perspective.
No doubt.
Town was a shell of itself. I lived in Andrews, lived in Georgetown. I consider them both to be home. But one thing that I can say about him, the only way that this town can continue to evolve if he decides to stay mayor. They bet not go out and vote somebody else in. Because if they do,
I tell you what. Let him play around. I'm gonna be the mayor, and you know what time it is within that $3.5 million. That'd be $3 million, baby. And we taking it back. Taking it back to the old school. I'm telling you straight off the top. Yes, sir. We taking it back to the old school. Hey, so again, I'm telling y'all, Fab News he got my show notes. I don't know how he did it, okay, but he got them, okay, because he is on it, all right. Because again, trolling Facebook, something that I do on a regular basis. Man, I want you to speak to this right here because that's something he brought up in just now. I see a lot of the cowards on Facebook, right? And I don't know if Baber understands what's happening to him or what he's doing to his church family, and because he's got some really nasty supporters, okay? And let's get to it right here. All right. So there was somebody on that news station, right? On that church place that is it was called, it was supposed to be it was a church page, but it's turned into a Bash the Town of Andrews page, right? And I'm showing you guys posts that was in response to somebody, because what happens is people move into the area, they usually type in the name of the place where they're at, wherever that is. If I'm in Florence, I'm looking for a Florence community page so I can figure out, it's a good networking thing in most situations where you can get information about jobs. And this person reached out, and not this person here, but it was somebody that reached out and was asking about, the town of Andrews. And you see this person here, Chris Thomas, where he says, keep driving. Now this, I got this off of Chris Thomas's page. So you guys go look up Chris Thomas, okay? And I want you guys to see a reoccurring theme that keeps happening right here. So you see Charles Elliott, again, somebody who does not contribute to the town, and Richard Newton, who has the Baber for Mayor thing up there. This is I don't know what they're talking about, but I know they are leaning towards some really nasty stuff that really could divide this town. You know what I mean? Well, you know what? I'm gonna say no, because people are intelligent. People are way more intelligent than I'm giving them credit for right now. But how do you deal with it? Just give me your thoughts on people that bash the town. I mean,
so let me say this to you, Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna deal with bashing the town, but I want to give the constituents of Andrews political 101. All right. First of all, the mayor is just like every other small municipality in South Carolina. They are fighting to keep police officers. Number one, if you don't have the funds to keep them, the police officers going to come to Andrews. They're going to get certified. And after they get certified, they're going to go work for Horry County. They're going to go work for Georgetown County. They're going to go work for Williamsburg County. If he doesn't have the funds to compete, once they get certified, they can go anywhere they want to work. They can go anywhere and work. But here's the question I ask. All these people who are so concerned about the police department and shortage of police, why don't they go put in an application? Instead of being a part of the problem, why not be a part of the solution? You follow me?
Say it again, Sam.
Because I'm saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, man, when you are under budget, you cannot compete with the larger people. You hire them, They're rookies. You send them to the academy, they get certified, and they don't stay long because now they got certifications. They can go anywhere else and work. They could go somewhere else where they're paying more money. You can't hold them. So, okay, that's the first issue we're talking about. The second issue, they talk about if the town is so bad, why do you want to run for mayor? I mean, why would you? Not only why do you want to run, you have freedom. Why do you want to live there? Just move, man. I mean, this is America. You can move. You know, so I just look at all the complaints that they have. And here's what I tell people all the time. Either you're going to be a part of the problem or you're going to be a part of the solution. Which one are you? Are you the problem or are you the solution? Because anybody can sit. If Jesus was the mayor of the town, he couldn't keep people working at the police department if they didn't want to work there. He couldn't keep people working on the public department if they didn't want to work there. And it's hard, again, and I reiterate this because I think the people need to know, it is hard for any small municipality to keep workers when they're not properly funded. And again, listen now, it's not just Andrews' problem. It's Cade's problem. It's all these little small town, man, got the same problems that the mayor is up against. You know the only difference? They keep silence and they keep it in their town. While other people want to bring in the news media and bring everybody out saying to create a big old stink about this ain't going on and that ain't going on. But, you know, this is your town, man. I remember the time, man, when I grew up in Sampson, man, where if there was a storm, hey, one person got a grill and everybody eating. One person, you know, they got a chainsaw, somebody cutting the chain, but guess what? Somebody cutting them trees, but they moving them, Jamal, because people need to get through. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just like this. If the mayor's going through, man, he needs your prayer. He needs your support. And I have no problem with anybody running against the mayor because, again, I don't have a dog in the fight. But this is my biggest question. Have you came and sit down with the mayor and point out, Mayor, you're doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G things that are wrong, and I don't agree with you, and give the man an opportunity to be able to say, okay, let me tell you why I'm doing this. You see, I got to pay this amount of money to the municipality. I got to pay this amount of money into the insurance. I don't have enough money to pay into the insurance of the staff. I know one municipality in particular, and I won't call the name, but I'll tell you this. They didn't pay into the staff child support. They didn't pay into the staff retirement because they said we just didn't have the money to do it. So we tried to keep the town going by paying other things, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And they got in big trouble, man. So Andrews really should thank God for the mayor's background and being able to know where to put the money at to sustain. If he was a foolish man, they wouldn't sustain this long, man. The town would have already drowned, or SLED would have already came in and took it over the town.
Go ahead, Mayor.
All right, where do we start? What was the I think you were referring to the social media
trashing the town.
Yeah, look, you're going to have that small percentage of folks that will always be out of sync with the main body that's moving in the right direction. I personally don't go and read their comments because, again, it doesn't really change the scope of things because we know where we're going. And if anyone have any question about what the status of the town or the state of the town, they're welcome to come and sit down and talk with me. You cover a lot of it. And again, obviously, Pastor Moutry, Mr. Fab is following because he's got a lot of accurate details and that happens. So it's just really about being informed. Okay. So you're going to have those people. I'm not thin-skinned. I spent 30 years in the military, or 29 years, 8 months. I've seen some tough stuff. I've been through it, and you got to understand that you can't have thin skin in this business. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm human. When people start, accusing me of stealing and those kind of things, I didn't come back to my hometown. I'm the native of Andrews. Okay. So me coming back here, that was by God steering me back here. I will stand on that until the day that God says, Frank, it's time for you to go do something else. That's why I'm staying in this race, because he has not told me that it's time to go somewhere else. So it won't be man or woman that tells me to go do something else. This is all about God. So if anyone wants to step in that way, tell them, come on. I have work to do. And it's been a distraction, because it is such negative stuff that we have to come and debunk some of that stuff that's out there. The whole thing about we can't get grants when I'm sitting on $10 million worth of grants and 8 in the previous years. You talk about we're broke. We haven't been in the red since 17 when I started this thing. All of our employees get raised every year. So we're not, again, they want to assume the bad stuff. We're on the right track. And we will continue to move in that direction. But again, for these guys that are out here making these acts, I will tell you this: check their records. Check their records and see how they're living.
I do.
I am not a thief. I will never be a thief, and I won't speak on that again. This is my house. This is where I live. I won't speak on that again, because I'm giving these people too much energy and attention, where we're going to be focused on moving forward and giving the facts. So I encourage them to keep talking, because I will keep showing through evidence that we're on the right track. So again, I'm happy with it. I'm proud of this town. And the thing is, Pastor Mutru touched on, why would you bash your own town? Why would you bash the people that are trying to keep it together? If you have nothing positive to say, just be quiet and vote as your conscience direct you, because it's not helpful. So it doesn't make any sense to me. This town is an extension of your home. Why not do your best to bring it together? That part I don't understand. And again, so I choose not to read that stuff. And I work with people who want to work for this town. And that's why my campaign is about the purpose that God has placed on me. Purpose, the people of this town, and anybody else who need my assistance. And it's not about politics. And that's how this is the campaign I'm running. You see the color scheme. It's all black and gold, black and yellow. That's Andrews, because I want them to know I am working for this town. And I will continue to do that until God says different. So anybody walking 2 feet upright, if you think you're in charge of it, then I guess you have to stick around and see, because this is not my plan. It's my purpose that's coming from God. And that's where we're going to stay on this path. And that's where we are.
And speaking of, because I got video of you saying that the same exact thing back 8 years ago, and to take that job, you have to be convicted. You have to, because it's not a. But I think about you saying that, and then I think about what was said when Mr. Baber decided to put his hat in the race, and I'll let you guys listen to it.
For me. But I'm here at the Georgetown Voter Registrations and Elections building. And after much prayer and counsel with local and county leadership, and also more important than anything else is with our church leadership at Andrews First PH Church, I've decided to run for mayor of Andrews. So that's a big step. I hope it's a God thing. We'll find out very soon.
That part of that statement stuck with me the whole time. I'm not even going to ask you guys to comment on it. I want to jump on something else, but that last part of that statement, it stuck with me, and that's why I grabbed that video back then, and I just it stuck with me. Another thing, one of the again, man, shout out to District Elder Ernie Cooper. He also said in the video early, he said, awesome. I think it's an excellent video. Also, I would like to challenge all pastors to come to let's come together and pray and support the community and our mayor. And that's coming from District Elder Ernie L. Cooper Sr. Okay. All right. But yeah, here's something, another thing. Mr. Mayor, keep moving in the right direction. No doubt. Get these comments caught up here, guys. Boom. Miss Veronica. All right. So here's another thing that because it's all. I remember one of the statements that the mayoral candidate said. He said about getting Georgetown to help us with the water situation, right? And we get, and I'm talking about the town of Andrews. You hear the water, the water, the water, the water. But what this is why I'm on the news I'm kind of hard on these news organizations the way I am because of this. I saw an article yesterday on Gab, and it was dealing with the new EPA water standards and the fact that Georgetown, not county, the city of Georgetown, is going to be entering into a lawsuit. And here's the article on the page right here, right there. They're going to be entering into a lawsuit dealing with forever chemicals in the water. All right. So you guys can go to Gab and find that article, and read it for yourself. But just a brief. Just the reason I'm bringing it up is because there's always talk about, and I mean people speak as if they specifically know something about the water standards in Andrews, and that's some of my friends out in Lambertown. They speak as if they know, but I haven't seen them say anything about the new EPA water standards that causes the city of Georgetown to go get outside legal representation. And in a nutshell, again, you can read this article for yourself. What they're planning on doing is going after some money, because there's this new word, forever chemicals. Apparently these are chemicals that are they cause cancer, and they are in the water system, right? And the EPA recently tested in Georgetown, and those levels are no good. So the city is looking to sue, and a couple of companies that have already set aside money to pay for this, one being 3M. The settlement is $10.5 billion to $12.5 billion. And then the other company is who else? DuPont, who agreed to pay $1.185 billion. And so the mayor of Georgetown said that this won't cost the citizens anything. If the lawyer wins the lawsuit, then they get the money. They're saying about $28 million is the estimated cost. Now, we know when Georgetown County starts to estimate things, they don't bring in any professionals. It's just somebody in the department who becomes a de facto professional in estimates. Have you been tracking this story, Mayor?
I haven't read it all. I've seen it, and I know, again, for any municipality, when you start talking about infrastructure, it's expensive and it's a challenge, because I don't think anyone in this immediate region have been in their position for more than probably 8 years. So it's all new, and you just have to deal with it. But I will say this, and I'm not comparing our system to anybody else. Our challenge now is replacing the bad pipes for water. Our water by DHEC standard is some of the best. We, again, a part of these grant dollars that we have, we're replacing those lines like on Beach Avenue. So you're going to have these challenges. All these are old cities. Okay. And I think Georgetown may be a little bit older than Andrews. So it's going to be, I don't know the details of the lawsuit, won't speak to it, but I will say that any leader right now in these small towns and managing systems, you're going to have challenges, and it's expensive. And so I'm very, very pleased that we don't have that to deal with. Our water comes from wells that are 800 to 900 feet deep, and the only requirement to treat it is chlorine. So we have very good water. We have plenty of water. And so we're in good shape. That's why I say people talk about things I think that they remember from the past, or they hear somebody else say in terms of how bad things are. It's really not. We're on the right track. And so we'll continue to work ours. That we pray for Georgetown County, that this thing work out for them, and it doesn't cost them the amount of money that we're reading here now, because it is expensive, and it will break the bank if you don't get it under control, especially talking about water coming out of old pipes or leaks of one thing, but you start talking about contamination.
Yeah, forever chemicals.
You have that is a serious.
That's something that the people should really research, because a part of that is that this information came available when Gab did a Freedom of Information request. So they did this in executive session, which again, you're talking about a matter of public safety. Mike, just to kind of, I guess, help give us some context, what is the water situation, and do you have any kind of issues with the system that you use? Is it county ran, city ran over in Tennessee?
No, we have city water, but we don't have any water issues with our water here. Never have had any water issues here.
What are your rates relatively high, or I mean, ballpark figure? What are you because I'm sure you're paying water, sewer, and garbage, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, most of our neighborhoods here have now fell underneath what they consider like a homeowners association, so that's kind of included in your trash.
Gotcha.
But yeah, but sewer, your sewer is on the same bill as your water bill, but them two are separated. They love that poo-poo water. That poo-poo water is $1, man.
Hey, ballpark figure. What's your average? What did you average a month there?
We probably average now. It used to be, of course, cheaper, but I think probably about $50, $52. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How's that stack up to the A, Mayor?
Real less than that, but we have to be careful comparing apples and oranges here, because then what drives your cost
is that sewer.
Is the sewer. He said sewer is always going to be expensive because that's a whole public safety concern. So the system itself is very expensive to maintain, and I would say that the $100 million that Pastor Mutri mentioned probably is a lot more than that. You're talking about this little small system. I can't imagine a place like Tennessee. But the thing that drives it is your ability. That money generated is specifically dedicated to water and sewer maintenance, the salary, those kind of things. So then you have to make sure that you keep up with the rates. Again, the increases to keep up with the cost of doing business. We didn't do that for a very long time. And so then we're having to raise the rates and get it up, to get it up to a standard where it can maintain the system and pay the people that works with it. So then you got that small budget, again, was mentioned earlier, and you have to apply that to this cost. That's just the way it is, and you're going to have to keep pace with it. Because I remember, as I tell folks, man, I was born in a place that did not have, all these amenities in a house. So outhouse, water from a pump, those kind of things. So now the ability to go to a faucet and turn it on and get it instantly, or go to an indoor, that's huge. You see, but it costs. It didn't cost you much out there with that outdoor toilet. But you want to be on a system, you have to pay for the system. And I think if your average bill is $60-$70 a month, depends on your usage and your size of your family. You're probably paying maybe $2,000, maybe a year, or whatever it is, whatever it comes up to. But that's just a small part of a $3 million system to maintain. So put things in perspective, and so you got to understand all the elements that plays into what your rates are. A lot of things that feed into that.
No doubt. So have you been tracking that story, Fab?
I have. I think the other thing that they need to look at too is, for example, here in Florence, we pay way more rates. When I see them arguing about them water rates in Andrews, I say, bring them to me. You know, I'll take those water rates, man. You know, because and I think what's going to happen probably in Andrews, if it's not already, if the mayor of them have not already raised the rate, sooner or later the federal government going to come in and say, if you want to continue to keep getting our grants, you're going to have to raise the rate, at least bring it up to what the nation is doing. And I covered a story in a small town where the powers to be, who was all in the circle together, and this comes from a lot of corruption, man. People not paying water bills because, hey, you know, Uncle Tommy, man, is the water supervisor. So, you know, hey, you don't read that meter. You know, that's Aunt Sue house. You know what I'm saying? You don't read that meter. You know, that's
hey man, where you get your paperwork from? You.
So,
hey, this
you
man.
Know, so I covered this story where the town, a lot of people wasn't paying their rate, and when they wasn't paying their rate, that robbed the town of funds. You know, this money, this is still coming out. You know, but it robs the fund, and so as a result of robbing the funds, then you know, because you've never had these rates. Now, you know, the mayor and city council is bad because they understand, hey, you're gonna have to raise the rate now because there's no sense in owning the water if you're not going to be able to maintain it yourself. How you gonna get the funding to maintain it? So what wind up happening is the mayor have to make a decision. Hey, we're gonna have to raise these rates, and then if the former administrators had raised it maybe, you know, $5 or $10 at a time, you would be where you need to be. But now, because you've not had a water rate in 20 years, now in order to get to where you need to be, when you see a $20 or $30 increase, man, you don't have a problem when you go to the gas pump. You got to get gas regardless of what the price of the gas is. You have to get the gas. I tell my wife all the time, baby, I ain't riding all the way across town because gas 5 cents cheaper. By the time you get over there, you done spend $1. So just pull in right here, man. Let's get the gas. The moral of the story is this, viewers and Jamal, the mayor has really inherited a mess, if you really want to be real about it. And now he has to make some decisions, and they're decisions that people can't really deal with, can't really adjust. And I don't care what leadership you put in place, it's still going to be the same thing, my brother. Again, and it goes back to this. And I think the mayor will agree with me. It's not only Andrews. Every municipality in the world is facing these oppositions. The only difference is, you know, Andrews may have more laminated pipes, but again, why don't you ask some of these people for money? I go back to the jailhouse. All right. I go back to the jailhouse for one reason. Georgetown County is one of the jailhouses that house federal inmates. Not all counties are able to house federal inmates because their standards are not there. And so now, if you're going to tell me the standards are that bad and they're that deplorable, the feds would not have those inmates being housed there for pre-sentencing.
I wonder where that fund goes. That federal money.
And then, listen, so the feds, Georgetown County is just like Andrews. If someone is arrested in Andrews, most municipalities now, they became smarter and they just say, okay, listen, county, you be the arresting agent and we don't have to pay you. But if someone is arrested from Andrews and taken to Georgetown, you do know that Andrews got to pay them. They ain't just going over there and staying. The mayor gonna get a bill for housing that inmate. He's gonna get a bill for that food. He's gonna get a bill for that life. He's gonna get a bill for those people. So the federal dollars that they get, could they have not taken some of this federal money? The 1994 crime bill that Joe Biden actually passed, could they not have taken some of this money and build the jailhouse and took the money that they got from the grant and maybe gave the mayor a little something to help at least 200 feet of these bad pipes? Nobody's talking about this. And don't get me wrong, I don't know the condition of the jailhouse. And guess what? If I got to go there to see it, I'm not going to know the condition. now, I'm going to tell you that. But I know this. There are other ways to fund that jailhouse. And the people should be questioning, why are you taking all my tax money and putting it into all these projects and not helping my mayor? And because here's the reality. There's only two things that I can think, man. Either they're not helping you because you're a black man, which means that they're racist now. Or they're not helping you just because they don't like you. But in either case, they don't have a choice because the people have spoken and you're the mayor.
No doubt. And go ahead.
Yeah, let me say this. Again, as a sovereign government entity, and if you look at the home rules, guidelines, those things, when you own a piece of territory as a mayor or whatever the case may be, all those, all that comes to you. You are responsible for maintaining it. So I will say this: the county doesn't have responsibility or anybody else for the pipes in Andrews. And I haven't asked them to do any of that. So that's why I think the grants it's a part of the governor's programs to assist low to moderate income communities through those efforts. But of course, the only way to qualify for that, you got to be in good standard financially and all that stuff, which we are. So then the only thing the county in this case has responsibility, because they are the caretakers of these funds, is the tax dollars collected for this building, and to properly assess our property, not keep the property value at so low that if we needed, to go through a loan process, we can only qualify for so much money. That's where the people don't see that they're holding this town down. In terms of anything else, I haven't asked them for a dime. And I only asked them to honor or follow the law and release the funds for this building. Other than that, they can go away. I don't mean it. I mean, not literally. I'm just saying in terms of, and I don't mean that in a mean-spirited way, but we have them ask them. The work that's being put in here is through our staff and our folks on the ground, and us getting the funds through our own efforts. They don't have to sign on any of that stuff. That's not the requirement. So I don't mean that in a mean-spirited way, but we the people of Andrews can take Andrews to any height that we want to if we pull together. That's really the reality to it. Now we have two county representatives that sit on that county, and what they or anyone in that position should be doing is that when there's these economic opportunities coming, they should be saying, okay, let's put something down in Andrews. Now that's where they can be helpful. But again, you got to be in reality. Yeah, those are the two gentlemen that represents the town. So the reality is Andrews is not but so big. So we're not going to get big industry coming down here. So we can take advantages of the two industrial parks that's to our east and west. What would have been helpful that the county could have decided to do is give Andrews the water accounts. But when you didn't do that, then the best we can get out of that now is jobs, and preferably our citizen, the workforce, prepared for those type vibes. So it's some gains to that. But in terms of them, taking care of us, we don't need that. We need to work together as municipality and county. But it's the elected officials of this town or any town's responsibility to manage the resources, whether it's a limited or an abundance, to the best and make the best decisions. And that's a daily thing. And that's why we've advanced as far as we have, but people don't understand how far we've been behind.
And I think that's the story of your 8 years in administration. All right. Because again, I've been following this. I was tracking really hard when the last administration, when Mayor Giles was in there. And so for me, right, what I like about what you guys is the transparency. Just like Pastor Mutri said earlier, you're gonna have a meeting, you're gonna have a town hall, you're gonna lay it out here. Hey guys, here's what it is. good, bad, or indifferent, you're transparent. Also, what I know of the previous administrations is there was no direction, there was no plan, we weren't moving toward. We were just surviving. You know what I mean? It was just survival mode. Like, patch this, go patch this. But there is now, and it's important for the people. Coming out of this political process is. This plan is great, but it makes it better when the people are moving toward. There is a plan in place. There is work going on beach, addressing the infrastructure. And if anybody cared to ask and come down and sit and talk, they'll share the information with you as to what is going on. The government bureaucracy, the bureaucracy of government or whatever is a slow moving thing, but I can show you from, we can do a timeline and look at where we were then and where we are now. And if you can say to me, honestly, and look at me and say, hey, well, no, it hasn't gotten better than it was when he first came in office, then I don't have nothing for
well,
Go ahead.
The problem is, for I think many, is they weren't paying attention. They're not informed. And so when you realize, where we were, and a lot of where our challenges were underground. So there's no appreciation for things you can't see. If it's not tangible, we as a people don't see the growth. But you got to understand your infrastructure is your foundation. And so then if you don't get that under control, and I know we're getting under control because when I came here, we had 2 consent orders, one for water and one for sewer. The water consent order, which both of them were established back in 2014 before I got here, is now gone. The water is now, we're satisfied that we're operating fine. That's why I tell you, our number one challenge in water is those pipes, those bad pipes, and the ability to isolate a problem when we have it. Sewer, we're still working on that, and that's soon going to be taken care of as well. As long as we keep sewer off the ground, we'll keep people from getting hurt. Now, I want to take it back a little bit, just real briefly.
Mm-hmm.
And as I do research, and there's another document I just got in hand, these problems didn't start 30 years ago either. That's what I thought up until recently. I'll say, like Congressman Fry told me, he said, we don't like these campaign processes, but it really helps us to sharpen our skills because it makes us go back and refine things, because in many cases, in my case, I just want to get the work done. I'm not a guy that wants to talk about my accomplishments and post everything. I'm about getting the work done. But these campaigns make you now show your work. And so I will show you everything they say it's not getting done. There's documentation to show it. You touched on a plan. No, we didn't have a plan. They didn't have a plan in the previous, but they didn't have one before these guys came on board either. So I'm going to give these administrations in these last 30 years some credit, because as you look,
I got to listen, because I've been hard as anybody on them, but then again, with more information,
right?
I reserve the right to adjust my opinion.
I agree. So if you look back and we talk, I think briefly about paying off loans from years ago. Those loans were taken out in 70s, 80s, and 90s, long before anybody, long before 30 years. So, and it was for these pipes. Now, whether they went into pipes, I don't know. I don't question that. But we're talking about a very long time of problems. So then the difference is that you got to have someone that understands all the nuances of running. This is a business. This is a complicated, complex thing that we're dealing with. And so you can't take that lightly. You take it lightly, you will find yourself in somebody's courtroom questioning whether you can move it to the next level. We have not had that, is not threatened to do that, to be to that point. So this thing in history, man, we got to look at it. And then a lot of these people who are the naysayers, they know the history. It didn't start 10, 12, 30 years ago. It started long before then. But it's my job and our job as we sit in this thing at this day to fix it. It doesn't matter who broke it or who let it fail. It's my job to fix it.
No doubt, man.
I will put my money I will put my time and anybody else's to show them that we're nowhere close to where we were 8 years ago, and we're on the right track. So a lot of times people don't want something until it's fixed.
Yay.
That's
how that go. Hey, listen, this is Real Talk Tuesday, man. This has been a super panel. We done hit the 2-hour mark, guys, and we can we could do this all night, but we're not going to. We're going to save a little bit for next week. I'm going to run this ad, and then I'm going to let my man Fab come back in, give us some of his final thoughts. Let the mayor give some of his final thoughts, and then we're going to put a bow on this and push it on to next week. So let me drop this.
Mayor Frank McClary, a man on a mission, who understood the assignment: town budget, fiscal responsibility, town infrastructure, tackling neglected projects, town independence, making sure its citizens have the final say, town growth, paving the way for future investments. Re-elect Mayor Frank McClary to continue the mission of serving in the best interest of all the people of Andrews.
And there it is. You see it on the screen right there. Re-elect Mayor Frank McClary, Town of Andrews, purpose and people, not politics. All right, Fab, go ahead, man. Give us your final thoughts here. And again, I appreciate you, bro, for popping in. I look forward to you popping in next week. Every time I do it, I'm gonna send you the link. That's just how that's gonna go. You know what I mean? If you're available, I do appreciate you. Oh my goodness. Jack Strong, I don't have time for you tonight, sir. It is too late. We're 2 hours in this, and where is the Tractor Supply that's shown on the Jack is an example of somebody who Jack will look past 1,000 million things and try to find the one thing. But let's Tractor Supply. Is Tractor Supply coming to Andrew, sir?
We'll save that conversation. Those are the conversation. They got some details to work out, and
okay.
So it ain't ready for any discussion. I'll leave that up to those owners.
No doubt.
Yeah.
All right, but so there you go, Jackass Strong. Excuse me, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to say. But Pastor, I apologize. I didn't even want to do that to you like that right there. But let me let you go ahead and give your final say here. I'm gonna take both of us off the screen, sir, and go ahead and do your thing, brother.
I would just say, Mayor, man, hats off to you. The people there in Andrews, man, hats off to you guys. You got a mayor who are boots on the ground, and he's working hard to try to take the town to the next level. And I think that if you get behind him and really give him an opportunity, I think one thing we must understand is it's easy to see the cow in the ditch. And either you can help the cow get out the ditch, or you can waste a lot of time trying to figure out how the cow got in the ditch. The reality behind it is the mayor's not trying to figure out how the town got where the town is at. He's trying to figure out how to get the town out of where it's at. And I think with your prayer, with your support, and your dedication, and I think if we take the energy that we focus on complaining and bickering, I like what the mayor says. He's not asking the county for nothing. He's not begging the county for nothing. I think the county, like anything, man, if I walk out of my house and I see my grass need to cut, I'm just going to cut it. Nobody has to tell me. Well, if I see the mayors and over there and they're having in dire stress, the right thing to do is for the county to come in and say, hey, here's some money. Do something with this. County council, they voted for you. So again, in my closing, I want to say, Mayor, continue to do what you do. Keep your head up, man. We're praying for you, and just make it do what it do, man. Y'all take care and have a good night.
Yeah. That's my man Fab News. All right, y'all make sure y'all go over to Fab News and check out what they got going. Fab News online and Fab News on Facebook. Go over there and follow. All right, Mayor. Again, great talk tonight. You know what I mean? Thank you, Miss Smith. Here you go.
Yeah, no, I just want to think again. You surprised me with this panel. This is a pleasant surprise, and I appreciate the perspective of those, especially that's not living here and understand the complexity of what any leader in a small town has to deal with. It's tough, but it's necessary for our community, and so we'll continue to work. We're out and about now, making sure people understand what right is and what right looks like, and what's been really going on in the town of Andrews. And so, if you have questions like about where's a business or where's something else, I'd be happy to talk to you. But again, we have much more important things for me to sit on Facebook and go back and forth with folks that really not interested in the progression of this town, and I don't have time for that. I have my time is going to be directed towards moving this town forward, and that's now, and that's what we're going to continue. So I encourage people to get out and vote, learn what's going on. Don't be misled by false information, and we're going to be fine. Those who don't believe, they will. They'll see. Andrews is a wonderful place to live. And it's my job at this point in time, and those that are elected in this position, to work together to move this town forward along with our citizens. And I ask the people again to continue to pray for those that are suffering losses alone, just unnecessary life loss, and just keep them in your prayers. That's what it's really all about. And let's become a community and work together, because this other nonsense that you see from time to time is just a distraction, but it's not a roadblock. And we'll continue to move forward. So I appreciate the time. I know it's long. I got to get ready. I got a trip up to Columbia tomorrow to speak with some bankers, and which is a good thing. That's what this thing is all about. So I get to go up tomorrow. And if you're in the area, stop through. I know you're not too far from it.
Yeah, and I think I'll be working in Columbia tomorrow. Yeah, because I had to. Yeah. I had to take the little one. She's cheering for the flag football team.
Okay.
And, the game got stopped early because of lightning strikes in the area. So they do the whole shutdown for 30 minutes thing. And but yeah, I'll definitely do that. I'll definitely do that.
And I appreciate what you're doing. The thing is, and I appreciate you being a straight shooter. A lot of folks don't understand that. If what I've been saying wasn't something that you can, put a document to, I'm sure I would be highlighted in such a way.
Ask the last ones who were there. Like
I know, and I appreciate that. So then you keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing. More importantly, for those kids, and highlight them in sports and their academics, because this politics is going to be politics. You spend your time, and I don't have to tell you that. You're well aware of the community. This is your home as well. So keep doing what you're doing, regardless of what the small percentage may have to say. It's important work, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate those out there. Get out and vote on November 7th for Frank McClary. Just continue to work
down. Yeah, y'all see
anything less will be a setback.
Yes, sir. Y'all see it on the screen right there. Reelect Mayor McClary, Town of Andrews, purpose and people, not politics. Sir, I appreciate you. Thank you very much, and I look forward to next Tuesday when we have these talks. Okay. All right. Yeah. We did it again, my people. I really appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Again, I can't solve it all in 2 hours. We can get what we can get in there. Okay. So let's do that. I do appreciate you guys for coming out and hanging out with me again, man. This was awesome, right here. Something else I wanted to say before I get out of here. One more time. Let's do this.
Mayor Frank McClary, a man on a mission, who understood the assignment: town budget, fiscal responsibility, town infrastructure, tackling neglected projects, town independence, making sure its citizens have the final say, town growth, paving the way for future investments. Re-elect Mayor Frank McClary to continue the mission of serving in the best interest of all the people of Andrews.
And so I'm gonna close with this, guys. Pay attention, okay? We talked about, we did over 2 hours of different information, right? And so obviously, Jack was listening the whole 2 hours, and he's so petty and so small of a person that he finds one thing again and again. You can get the information from the mayor, okay? Because I don't speak for him, obviously. So, but you found that one thing that was wrong, okay? You're a sour-hearted individual. Your heart is sour, okay? And that's just how. Hey, man, you know what? Let me back this up, right? Because I'm giving Jack too much doggone time. Shout out to my man, the whole Flanagan clan, my man Pastor Michael Flanagan out there in Tennessee. All right. I appreciate you, brother. I'm gonna be hitting you, you know what I mean? Because you good, like the brother ain't from Andrews, but I knew he would add some sauce to that, you know what I mean? A different kind of flavor, a different perspective. So also listen, I would encourage you guys, whenever anything you see me with these high school kids, pictures, anything like that, tag your university. Okay. If your university has a football team or something like that, tag them. Okay. And so yeah, we're gonna end it on that right there, man. Shout out to the whole panel tonight. This was awesome. Jared, I appreciate you, brother, for coming through. Salute to all my brothers. All right, and great show. Peace.